Hey YouTube, Maddie's Daddy 12, Team JMT, coming to you guys with a bit of news today. But first, I want you guys to go to my Facebook page and check it out. There's a link down below that will take you there. The majority of this conversation has been there today. So what we've been talking about has been the Battle Pack, and of course the notable card in that is a reprint of Tour Guide of the Underworld. I didn't know what to really think about the reprint at first. I was talking to a buddy of mine, Cody Saylor from the Lexington area, and to quote him, he said that when this pack comes out, which is May 28th, that Tour Guide will still be a good card, but it will no longer be in its prime. That kind of took me back a little bit when I first heard him say that. So we talked a little bit longer, and we made the comparison to Pot of Duality. Now, when Pot of Duality, before its reprint, there was a lot of people saying that it needs to get banned, it needs to get restricted to one, it needs to get semi-limited, all this different trolling going on about how something needed to be done about Pot of Duality. There was a perception that if you had paid the $120 to $150 per Pot of Duality, that you would just sit down at the table and automatically win the game because you had them in your deck. The same perception has been made about Tour Guide right now, and I don't think it's going to really be that way. Because let's face it, guys, after the reprint of Pot of Duality, it does the exact same thing. It still does the same thing for Hero, Beat, and Stun and everything that it did before, but it's not really as powerful of a card anymore. I mean, decks are winning YCSs right now that aren't playing any Pot of Duality. So it's not as powerful of a card now as it was before its reprint. Pot of Duality is no longer in its prime. And Cody's opinion, and kind of the same opinion I have, is that Tour Guide probably won't be as good in late May that it is right now, because new cards will come out, new deck ideas will come out, new concepts will come out, and we won't play Tour Guide as much, the same as we've done with Pot of Duality. Another thing to keep in mind, excuse me, I'm sorry about that, is that the local meta will now have a chance to catch up with the actual meta. And what I mean by that is the actual meta would be the YCSs and the bigger tournaments, the regional tournaments, and the more premier events. The decks that you will see there as their meta will now, our local meta will catch up to that, because a lot of those decks are playing Tour Guide, where a lot of the local players here don't have Tour Guide. So now it'll give us our local meta a chance to catch up with our actual meta, which means you'll now be able to play test against Tour Guide agents and Tour Guide plants, and you won't have to depend on Dueling Network nearly as much to play test against those kind of decks. So that's really good, and I'm glad that we're going to be able to do that now. The biggest thing that a lot of people are talking about right now is that you have several people that have spent the money on Tour Guides and they feel like they've lost money now. And with a lot of those people, I'd like to say, to just grasp what's going on a little bit better, this card's not coming out tomorrow, okay? You guys have plenty of time to try to recoup what you've spent on those Tour Guides, or possibly try to make a profit on those Tour Guides by selling them at an upcoming YCS or whatnot. So, I mean, it's not like this is coming tomorrow. You still have, like 4 months to deal with getting rid of your Tour Guides, if you even want to get rid of them. Maybe you want to keep them. Maybe you want to have the secret rares as opposed to the commons or silver stamp or whatever they're going to be out of this pack. However, I think there's a lot of stuff going on with this pack that a lot of people are overlooking. This pack is going to give Konami the opportunity to introduce sealed deck tournaments, which is basically they're going to give you X number of packs of this set. You'll build your deck out of those packs, and you'll play with just that deck. which I think is great for the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! We've not been able to have a sealed deck or even a draft situation before. So now they're going to give us that option with this pack. Not only that, but this pack is only going to be $2. We're only going to get 5 cards, but the pack is only $2 per pack. You're going to get some high quality cards for that $2, because I think that's something else that people are missing out on when they look at this, because they're getting so caught up on the tour guide. Have you seen the other reprints that are going to be in this set? I'm going to put a link down below also to the product page for you guys to check this out. We're getting a reprint of Doom Calibur Knight. It's already been reprinted once, so I'm expecting it to be a common in this set. Getting a reprint of Forbidden Lance. Getting a reprint of Adrius, Keeper of the Armageddon, the rank 5 Exceed monster. I'm getting a reprint of Fabled Raven, Gores, Chaos, Ryza, Mobius, Ryza, wow. Mobius, Pot of Avarice was already a common, so I'm sure it'll be a common in this also. But we're getting a lot of good reprints that have been announced, and it's a 220 card set. So I can only imagine that the cards are going to be just as good, if not better, than the ones they've already announced. So a lot of really good reprints coming out of this set, and I hope you guys don't overlook that. Another thing is that you're also going to be introducing some new TCG cards, or bringing some new cards to the TCG. Backup Warrior, which is an afterthought because it's really not that great. But you're also going to get Gem Knight Pearl, a rank 4 Exceed monster, no effect, 2600 attack. Now what's great about that is it's going to give you the chance to beat over a Stardust Dragon. It's a pretty nice attack at 2600. It's the Exceed version of Gaia Knight, and if you guys look at extra decks, Gaia Knight is starting to get a lot more play just because it's 2600 attack. So I could see a Gem Knight Pearl getting a lot of play because of that also. And now they've announced that there's going to be Exceed monsters in this pack. They've not announced any Synchro monsters yet, or any tuners. I gotta imagine they're probably going to try to put that in there too. I could see this pack being really good. And like I said before, the biggest thing about this pack is that now Konami is giving us a product that we can draft. We can do a booster draft tournament or a sealed pack tournament, which is something that Yu-Gi-Oh players could not do before. I think that's going to be a tool that we could use to possibly bring back players to this game, or bring players to this game to start off with. Because now, instead of just going and buying starter decks and trying to build a deck out of that and then figure out, hey, I need this and I need that and I need this and I need that, they can come to this tournament, a draft tournament, and draft the cards that they want out of this set. And then after 3, maybe 4 weeks of doing the draft, maybe even 2 weeks of doing the draft, they could have a fairly decent deck and be able to start entering into regular local tournaments at that point. So it gives us another avenue to give people a chance to come play Yu-Gi-Oh! That weren't playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Before, and be able to get good quality cards fairly quickly. Alright guys, so there you go. There's just some of my thoughts about this pack. I hope you appreciate it. Head over to my Facebook page and check me out. And like always guys, subscribe, comment down below, show us how much you love us.